What do you do when life throws you a curveball? Hi, it's Melanie Benson, host of New York Success TV and America's leading authority on optimum performance. And what you do when you get a curveball can make or break the next few months, maybe even the next few years of your life and your business. And here's the thing. Curveballs get thrown at us all day long. You can plan for the best, and sometimes the worst happens. Sometimes you think you've got it all figured out, and an unexpected situation occurs that will cause you to feel derailed, get off track, and maybe even get really frustrated or disappointed with what's about ready to happen. You have a choice when things come up that you're not planning on. You can react and get frustrated, shut down, give up, or you can say, all right, it's here, I got to deal with it. Now, what's the most powerful way for me to move through it and get to the other side? It's not always easy to do the second one, I know, but if you can do it and you can do it quickly, it's the fastest way to get through whatever comes your way. I was having lunch with a new friend of mine named Marnie Batista. Marnie's a relationship coach, and she's recently been putting out coach training for the people that have gone through her coach training school. And, interestingly enough, we were having this conversation about your business being this big mirror, and how oftentimes our businesses become the biggest personal development training program we could have ever thought we were going to have. We thought relationships were supposed to be the most work, but I've personally found, and I think many of my friends would say the same thing, that your business is a huge mirror, and there's no shortage of opportunities to grow based on what happens when you get a curveball. Now, a curveball in life is inevitable. But in business, it can make or break your profits. It can have a huge impact on your productivity. And in a lot of ways, it can take a lot of hard work and planning and focus and just instantly evaporate it. When I worked for Motorola for the 10 years that I was employed there, I was involved in our quality systems improvement and did a lot of things with events for our public safety customers. And I spent many years working with multi-million-dollar project teams. And the one thing we could count on was something was always going to go wrong. Now, in a world that I'm now in, where we understand in law of attraction and that you really can create the results that you want in your life, you have a lot of control based on the way you think and the behaviors that you take action with. Well, how does this all shake out? I mean, when something bad happens, do you get stuck in the quagmire of, all right, how did I create this, and how do I fix it, and what are the systems that may be breaking down? And we can spend a lot of wasted time focusing on what went wrong and how to make it better. And one of the things that I learned from those Motorola days was always have a way to get back on track quickly. We called it having a contingency plan. Well, as a small business, that may not be the luxury you have to have a contingency plan, but knowing how to get a contingency plan in place quickly if the worst happens is something that we can all do a good job of developing that muscle and that skill set when it does happen. I think any entrepreneur, any business leader, any small business owner, one of the most important skills we have to have is being adaptable and being flexible. We can't get so stuck in one train, in one rut or one vision or one goal that we're not flexible to deal with whatever's coming our way. And that's really what the opportunity is. And I think as entrepreneurs and service-based business owners who our revenues are wrapped up in the service we deliver, we can't get so stuck on things looking a certain way that we lose the ability to gain momentum. So here's why this is all coming up. You're probably wondering, like, Melanie, where are you going with this, right? Not too long ago, I got some news that things that I had planned on happening in the last quarter of this year, and as I was moving into 2013, were going to take a drastic change. And I had been working on my year-end plan, adapting some things, getting a program ready to roll out, when I received some news that someone that I had recently brought on had a very huge change in plans, that part of it was just not in their control. They were going to be out for quite some time due to a medical emergency. And so all the months that we'd been training, all of the prep work we'd been doing, and all of the foundation that I'd been laying to bring a program that I was very excited to bring to my community, I instantly realized when I found out that she was going to be gone for 6 to 12 weeks and then might not be coming back, what we were going to do was not feasible with the resources that we had. Could I push through? Could I do it anyway? Could I say, I'm not letting anything derail me? Yeah. But here's the cost of that for me, and maybe for you, is if I keep pushing and saying, I'm going to do it anyway, I'm not going to let an obstacle get in my way, I'm going to get burned out. My potential clients may experience a lapse in quality control, and that's just something that I'm not willing to take the risk on. And one of the things I've also learned, because this person's not going to be here for a period of time, and that I'm actually going to have to train somebody new, is that when you bring a new team member on in the middle of chaos and a huge promotion or a big event, they get overwhelmed very quickly. And that overwhelm, almost it's like you set a tone, because you don't get to train them properly. They have to jump in and just swim as fast as they can. And there's an overwhelm and an energy that gets created that's very hard to break and to reprogram later. And I found that a lot of people, when they come in and it's overwhelming and frustrating and there's this tension of trying to figure it all out so quickly, that they never really gain full performance ability. It's like it just damages the tone of the relationship. So I decided that I was going to make a very powerful decision to not push, to recognize that there was something that needed to happen differently based on this situation. Now, I started to go down the path of like, how did I create this? How am I manifesting this block? And I thought, you know what? That might be something to look at. Maybe there's a systems piece or something going on. Maybe there's a way to look at how I hired or ask some better questions. And yeah, I could get into the diagnosis. And the most powerful thing I could do is course correct quickly, because I was literally days away from announcing this. And yes, I was bummed. Yes, I took it really hard. And I thought, well, that energy is not going to do any good if I stay there. And this is the key that I think you can take away from my own experiences. When life throws you a curveball, are you going to pitch a tent and stay there and commiserate and go down the tubes with that situation? Or are you going to pick it up, you're going to shake yourself off and just course correct? And so that's really the key. What do you need to do to course correct? So the most powerful way that I chose to move through this was, first of all, get clear on what my options were. What are the 3 or 4 different ways that I could see moving through it? The second thing I decided to do is get really grounded in what's important to me right now. What are the short-term and the long-term goals that we need to keep in mind here as we make this decision? You know, we value being in flow. It's important for us to think things through and see how each piece is going to affect the next. And it's important that we do things in excellence and we don't just rush in order to get something done because there's an urgency. And I'm very much about being methodical and taking our time to figure things out. You know, I've done it the other way in the past, and it leads to a lot of burnout and stress, and your team can very quickly get depleted. So if that's what's important to us, and being able to serve our clients in excellence, then we have to make decisions in accordance with that. And then the third thing I did is I brought it to my personal mastermind, and I said, so here's the situation. Here's what I thought I was going to do. Here's what just occurred. And I'm really clear that training a new person and bringing a new program out at the same time is not the best way to train someone, and it could quite frankly affect people that are coming into the program. And I said, what would you do? And so we talked about the different options, and they all had the same idea. So from that place, I felt totally powerful. And I quickly regrouped, quickly replanned, and quickly was able to just not really skip a beat. Yeah, it bugged me for a couple hours. Yeah, I was kind of down, and I could have let it stress me out, but I chose not to. So the point here is, what do you need to do? What's the most powerful way for you to move through a curveball and to get back on track quickly? First of all, get grounded. Secondly, look at your options. Third, remember what's important to you. What's the criteria for making the decision? And if you don't feel 100% confident about it, get support from your coach, your mentor, or your mastermind, and get them to process your options and make sure that there's nothing in your blind spot. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you have a curveball right now in your life that's causing you to be stressed out and you don't know how to handle it? What's your formula for dealing with life's unexpected challenges? And, what do you think about what I shared today? Love to hear it in the comments below. I'm Melanie Benson Strick, host of New Era Success TV. Bye for now.